So in this video, I'm going to show you how to connect a Rinnai direct vent furnace to a wall thermostat. A couple of reasons why you want to do this. The Rinnais, when you first install them, they detect the room temperature right there, which is on the back of the unit, about 1 inch off of the floor, which means the room is going to be a lot warmer than what you set the Rinnai to. And also it's going to cause the unit to short cycle, so it's just going to run and run and run all the time. So by hooking it up to a wall thermostat, it's going to sense the room temperature out at a proper thermostat height out in the room, so it should be a lot more comfortable, and it shouldn't run as often. And if you use a smart thermostat, then you can also control the Rinnai by an app on your phone, so that's an added benefit. So to do this, you'll need a compatible Rinnai direct vent furnace, which is most of the newer models here. So that's a 38. I also have a 22 down in my basement, which I've already connected to a thermostat. So now I'm doing the 38 upstairs. So what you'll need to do this, along with a compatible Rinnai direct vent furnace, is a thermostat of any kind. You can use basic thermostats, or you can use smart thermostats, battery operated ones, or ones that get line voltage power. That's a smart thermostat that will not use batteries, so it will be powered from a 24 volt transformer. So what you also need is the Rinnai wall thermostat kit, which you can find online. Pretty easy if you just search for it. It comes with basically a control board with a couple wire harnesses and that 24 volt transformer, which you'll plug into a wall outlet. And then you need thermostat wire, and the type of thermostat wire you get kind of depends on the type of thermostat you're going to use. So if you're going to use a battery operated thermostat, you'll just need 2 thermostat wire. If you're doing a line voltage powered thermostat like I have, you'll need 3 wires. If you get thermostat wire that has 5 wire or 7 wire, you can use just 2 or 3 of the wires and just twist the unused ones together. So if that's all you can find at your local home improvement store, that'll work too. Luckily I was able to find 3 wire thermostat wire. So what I'm going to do first is run that thermostat wire from the Rinnai to where I'm going to put my thermostat, and then I'm going to mount my thermostat. Then I'll go through the wiring instructions. So Rinnai has a YouTube video on how to do this, but they completely skip over how to connect some of the wires. And they do have a wiring diagram, but it's not real clear on how you're supposed to do this. So I figured I'd do a video to show you how to do this, and it's really not that difficult. I think the hardest part is probably just running the wire through your house. So once I get that done, I'll come back and show you how to wire it up. Alright, so I've run the wire down through the floor, behind the Rinnai, and through my basement. Now I'm coming up into the wall where my thermostat's going to go. So I figured I'd show this part to show the little trick I'm going to use to get the thermostat wire up in the wall. So this is the back side of the wall, or the other side of the wall where I'm going to be putting the thermostat, and it's in a closet, which is why I'm going to be doing the work in here. Although most of this work is going to be hidden, as you'll see. So what I've done is I've taken that piece of baseboard off, and then I've used a utility knife to notch out a little piece of the drywall, and that's behind where the baseboard is. You can see the paint line. So once I'm all done, and I put the piece of baseboard back up, that'll cover up that hole, so I won't need to patch and paint or anything like that. So then what I did is I measured out roughly where this area is down in my basement to make sure there weren't any wires or pipes that I might drill into. And I used a really thin drill bit, and I drilled down just in front of that base plate for the wall. And that hole is so small, and it's going to be covered up once I put the baseboard back anyways. So then what I did is I went downstairs to see where that drill bit came out through the floor. And I measured from the drill bit to the middle of that base plate for the wall. And it's 2.5 inches. So if I go downstairs and I measure 2.5 inches from that drill bit, I'll be able to drill up through the basement ceiling and through the floor and come up inside of that wall. Then what I'll do is I'll once I drill the hole on the other side of the wall for the thermostat, I'll feed some extra wire I have. You could use a fish tape, but I have some extra wire laying around the house. I'll feed that down through the hole and feed it through the hole in that base plate. Then I'll just tie off the thermostat wire, and I'll use that extra wire to pull the wire up through this wall and come out on the other side for the thermostat. So I'll go show you what I mean downstairs. So I'm now in my basement, and you can see there's the drill bit. So I know it's going to be 2.5 inches towards the center of the house, where the base plate of that wall is. So I measured 2.5 inches out, made an X there. So now what I'll do is from down here, I'll drill up, straight up through, and that'll get the hole inside of that wall. And then I'll work on fishing the wire up through that wall and connecting the thermostat, which will be next. Alright, so as you can see, from down the basement, I drilled on the X that I made and fed a little bit of the wire, ran through the basement up through the ceiling of the basement, so it came right up in the middle of the wall like I wanted it to. And then this wire right here is, I drilled a hole on the other side of this wall where the thermostat's going to go, and I fed some extra thermostat wire that I had laying around from the other thermostat that I installed, and I fed that down through this wall. So now what I'll do is I'll tie these two wires together with some electrical tape, and I'll go on the other side of the wall, and I'll use that wire that I fed down through the wall to pull the wire that I fed through my basement up into the wall. So I'll show you that next. Alright, so this is the hole I've drilled on the other side of that wall where I'm going to mount my thermostat. This is the extra wire that I fed down that hole, then I hooked it on and taped it onto the wire I'm going to pull up from the basement. And it's just a matter of getting it through. So I might need to make my hole a little bit bigger. And so you'll see that's where I hooked the two wires together, taped them off. So this is the wire that I pulled up from the basement. So I'll pull a little bit extra out there. Now that's all ready to hook up to the thermostat. So I'm back in the closet, and you'll see I put that piece of drywall that I cut out back in, and then put the piece of baseboard back on, and you don't see any holes. There's no holes where I drilled through the floor. It's all covered up. And because it's in, I mean, you can caulk and sort of repaint that trim a little bit. There's a little piece I knocked out there, but for the most part, you can't even tell I drilled a hole in that wall. So now I'll move on to wiring up the thermostat. So I have the mounting plate for my thermostat mounted on the wall, and I cut the wire down to length, and then I used some wire strippers to strip off about 1/2 inch of the protective casing on the wires. You don't want to do too much, you want to do just enough. So because this is a 3-wire setup where the thermostat is going to be powered from the transformer by the Rinnai, the white wire is going to go to the W terminal on the thermostat. The red wire is going to go to the R terminal, and then the green wire is going to go to the C. And the C is the common. That's where it'll get the power from the transformer. The white wire is going into the W terminal. Green wire is going into the C terminal. Then the red is going into the R terminal. And a lot of thermostats will have a jumper, which is what that metal bar is between R and RC. Most thermostats, you want to leave that on there. So that finishes the wiring for the thermostat side of things, and you'll see on this wall there aren't any holes. I'm running the wire because I did all that on the other side. Now I could have done it on this side and hid everything between the behind the baseboard, but because I had the closet out behind it, I took advantage of that. Just need to vacuum up the dust a little bit. And then the last thing we can do now is take the faceplate of the thermostat, and we can snap it on. So that completes the thermostat side of things, and now I'll go wire up the Rinnai side. So I figured I'd do the wiring with the adapter kit out here, just because it'll be a little easier to see what I'm doing, and then I will mount the adapter kit on the back of the unit once I get all the wiring done. So I have the thermostat wire that I ran from the Rinnai to the thermostat, and you'll notice I opened up the casing and pulled out the red wire a little bit, and I kept the green and the white wire inside. The reason I did that is the red wire is going to go to the transformer, which is plugged into the outlet. My outlet isn't right behind my unit, it's a little bit next to the Rinnai, so I had to get a little extra slack on that wire, so that's why I did that. So the first thing we're going to do is we have the transformer, and so the red wire, which is coming from the R terminal on the thermostat, that's going to go to the left terminal on the transformer, and that's if, you know, the prongs are facing up towards me. So we'll put that under the screw and tighten it down. Always want to, what I like to do is actually take a utility knife and sort of wrap the wire around if I can. You could use pliers as well, but you want to hold it tight and then tighten down that wire. So that goes there. And then the white wire, which is coming from the W terminal on the thermostat, that's going to go to one of the black wires on the adapter kit. It actually doesn't matter which one you use, but I'm going to use, if you're looking at it, the top black wire. So we're going to take the top black wire from the adapter kit and go to the white wire on our thermostat wire, which is coming from the W terminal. And then we're just going to use a wire nut to make that connection. You can twist the wires first before you put the wire nut on, but I just usually put the wire nut on, put it on tight. So now we've got that connection. And then what we have is the green wire, which is coming from the C terminal on the thermostat. So what I've done is I had some extra thermostat wire, and so I opened up the casing and I took out a single green wire. And the reason I did that is the next connection we're going to make actually has to go back to the transformer. So again, similar to the red wire, I need a little extra slack. So what we're going to do is take the other black wire from the adapter kit. That's going to go to the green wire from our thermostat wire. And then we're going to take that single green wire that I took out of the extra thermostat wire, and we're also going to put that on this connection as well. So for this, we have the green wire coming from the C terminal from the thermostat, the second black wire from the remote thermostat adapter kit, and then that extra green wire which I pulled out from the extra thermostat wire that I had. So make sure those are kind of lined up with each other, and then we'll wire nut those together. So we have our two connections right there. So what we'll do is that extra green wire, which is coming out of that connection, that's going to go to the other AC post on the transformer. So we get that under there. Tighten it down. And again, I like to take something and kind of wrap that extra wire around a little bit. It's not great to use a utility knife because the blade could snap, but it'll work for now. And we'll tighten that down. And that's all the wiring you have to do. So just to review how I wired this up, we have the red wire coming from the R terminal on the thermostat, go to the left AC post on the transformer. And then we have the white wire coming from the W terminal on the thermostat, going to the top black wire on the adapter kit. And then you have the green wire, which is coming from the C terminal on the thermostat that goes to the other black wire from the adapter kit. And then I ran a third single green wire out of that connection into the right AC post on the transformer. So now what I have to do is mount the adapter kit on the back of the Rinnai, plug in the red and the blue wires to the red and the blue wires on the back side of the Rinnai. And then the last thing will be putting the Rinnai into remote thermostat mode, which I'll show you how to do next. Alright, so you can see I have the remote thermostat adapter kit mounted on the back of the unit. And then I have the red and blue wires from the adapter kit on the back side of the Rinnai connected. One thing I used so I didn't have to take the Rinnai out of the, so I didn't have to disconnect it to do all that, is I have this long screwdriver has a flexible end, so I was able to bend this so I could screw the adapter kit on behind the unit. Alright, so I have the transformer plugged into the wall outlet, and I have the Rinnai plugged in, and I put the side and top finish panels back on the Rinnai. So now what I have to do is put the Rinnai into remote thermostat mode, which is actually one of the more difficult parts of this. So what you need to do is hold down the economy, the up arrow, and the program button all at the same time for 2.5–3 seconds. That's the first step, and it usually takes a couple of tries to get this. So you need to do this with the unit plugged in but turned off. So when you do that, it'll beep and the display will show 0–1. So use the up arrow. So it will say 00, and then you'll go to 01, and then you'll just hit the off button. Now when you turn it back on, you'll notice the green on light comes on, but the display where it usually has the room and the set temperature doesn't come on. So that's how you know it's in remote thermostat mode. So now I'll bring you over to the thermostat and show you how to run it. So we're back at the thermostat, and you'll see the thermostat is powered on. It's getting power from the transformer. And I've already gone through the setup as far as getting this on my Wi-Fi network and connected to my app. That's going to be different for every thermostat that you use, so I didn't videotape those steps. We'll see that the fan is set to auto, so we'll leave that there. And then we'll set the system to heat. So now it's reading the indoor temperature at 70 and it's set to 62. So if we turn this up to 71, we'll do a permanent hold. You'll hear the thermostat just clicked. And now when we go over to the Rinnai, we'll see the on light turn to red, which means it will start to burn. It's like when you probably hear the fans on. And so now it's burning. And so the Rinnai will be controlled by that remote thermostat. So when that remote thermostat temperature is satisfied, then the Rinnai will turn off. So hopefully this video will help someone set up their own Rinnai and remote wall thermostat, because the instructions and videos that Rinnai provides are a little not very clear. So hopefully this will help someone.